did see I got notified that we're on live, so I'm just saying hi, everybody.
Hey.
And Julie's going to go close her windows because someone's gardening, landscaping.
Every Monday, this is what they do. They, do all the mowing of the lawns and everything.
Right.
Hold on one sec. I want to make sure that we're... All right, I'll be right back.
Well, welcome everyone. This is Facebook Live. I'm going to say hi and ask if anyone has questions, jump onto Facebook and leave a message. We'd love to get some questions and hear from some people. I hope everyone's doing well. We're in July now, and I know in the States, July 4th weekend was just recently. And I saw a lot of people were illegally shooting off fireworks. This is Facebook Live. I'm going to...
We're good. Sorry, I was just kidding so I could see the comments. Hey, Ruth and Gloria and Rita.
Nice.
Anybody have questions, post them in the chat and so go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. I was just going to say it was July 4th in the States, and I know a lot of people are still sort of theoretically not getting together in large gatherings, but I did see some footage of a lot of fireworks going off and stuff. So
you did? We didn't have fireworks here.
Oh, I think it was maybe in LA.
Mm.
Those rebels. But you've been busy the last couple of days. What have you been up to?
Well, yesterday I actually facilitated my first in-person bars class since quarantine.
Oh,
that was interesting.
What do you mean it was interesting? It was just like nice to see people and touch people?
Yeah, but like there's still this like weird thing, like people don't know if they should touch each other, and then they do, and then but then they like drop into bars, and then it's like
Right.
And it was such a beautiful day that we did it. We did one of the sessions out on my front lawn, and it's cool. Like in this group of townhomes, and like the energy just went everywhere. It was really nice.
Nice. Yeah.
What about yourself? What have you been up to?
Well, actually, I was kind of like trying to lead you into talking about the class that you've been taking the last couple of days.
That class. Right. I'm a little out of it. The last 4 days I've been getting up at 5 a.m. to join the advanced talk to the entities Zoom call. It happens to be online this time because of quarantine.
Right.
And there's over 350 people from all over the world, which is really cool. Like the energy of it is amazing. Yeah, I've wanted to do this for a long time and I just hadn't. So.
Is this your first advanced class?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And are you going to do the facilitator class as well?
Undecided as well.
Yeah.
Last year I wanted to do it. I don't know. I had so many different things going on, and I really get that right now is the time to create, and not necessarily keep doing class after class after class. I mean, I'll still choose them, but I've got some creations that need to be in the world. They're asking, how many people are having relationship issues and are breaking up right now, especially now.
You have a book.
Yeah, and I have a book, Beauty in the Breakup, and like the tools laid out the way they are in the book, it's so clear, so easy, and can eliminate so much of the shit that goes on when people break up from a relationship or from a job or from whatever.
We've also, we've talked before how it has the tools for not necessarily how to break up, but how to take a look at your relationship and see if it's working for you or not working for you. Like you can read the book and not necessarily end a relationship.
Yeah. It's
You might
more
read the
about,
book and then, yeah.
yeah, it's more about getting clarity for you about you so that you don't keep divorcing yourself. So that whatever you're choosing, if you're choosing a relationship, so that you're in it fully. Or if it doesn't work for you, then you can move out of it without trauma, drama, upset, with just like, okay, this isn't working. Let's find a way to separate kindly. Like, what is the point of creating so much upset over something that doesn't work anymore?
Right. So this is one of the things that you're going to start getting out there and for promoting a little bit more.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And like, wouldn't it be cool if one day there were beauty in the breakup facilitators all over the world, facilitating classes and committing to their sparkly, joyful living?
So someone's waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning in, the Philippines to take your online facilitator class.
Yeah. And like, for me, it'll be 2 PM, like, like that's what it is for Shannon.
Right.
2 PM. Okay, I think I'll do an hour telecall and make everybody else get up at weird times.
Yeah. Nice. So like from the advanced entities class you've been in, what's been like one or two really big takeaways for you so far?
Well, I'd say like this morning, this is the end of day 4. And like the biggest thing so far has been just acknowledging how much I have built on I don't even know how to say it. Like, when you first find out about entities, most people are freaked out and they're like, oh my God. And they get small and the entities are big and scary. Eventually it's be scary, not scared. And from my experience so far, I don't make it significant anymore. I make it easier. And now I'm looking at receiving more from entities and playing with that. And I guess facilitating the change that they're asking for. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Yeah, I mean,
Gloria has a question. Love this theme about relationships, but many times things in relationships are stalked because of money. And I think this might sound silly, but many classes have changed. Can facelift be done on distance? Wow, that's that's not just one question.
So yeah, actually that's really interesting that she asked that question because I have been re-listening to Shannon's Money Call from a couple of years ago, and someone did ask about money and relationships, and it gets kind of complicated in relationships because you could be willing to have more money than your partner, and you could be willing to make choices that they're not willing to make, and you need to I mean, she actually talks about how she's willing to do and be more than her husband, and for her to choose it, she just has to choose to pay for it. Like if we're going to fly business class, then I have to pay for it. Like that's one aspect of it. And when you have your finances wrapped up with someone and you're making choices and changes for bigger and more and greater, and you're coming at it from a different point of view, you're going to probably face a little resistance from someone initially, at least until they see what you're able to create and what
Yeah.
you're choosing and how it's going.
It's true.
Um,
And even in breakups, like money can be a major issue and people won't break up because they don't want to lose their money. But you have to look at, is it worth it to lose you to stay in the relationship? And like how painful is that going to be? When I was facing my breakup, it was like everything that we had made was my company. He helped, but it was my company. I created the whole thing, and I had to give him half and sell the house and give him half. And it was like, ooh. And then I thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'll create more. I'll just create more.
Right.
And, you know, we were partners, cut it down the middle, go. And if you have the point of view that you're trying to hold on to all of that, it's like you either receive or you don't receive. So if you don't want to receive from them, you probably won't receive more money. And if you don't want to let them go, then you'll probably lose your money. Like, it's just a weird relationship.
Right. Can you read the question once again? Like, you were kind of muttering a little bit and I didn't get the full thing.
Right. Well, and then she wrote, sorry, I didn't make proper questions. And it's not about proper. I'm just trying to understand what she's talking about.
Wrong. That's wrong. You need to do questions correctly. With a question mark at the end. This is
Yeah, there was
important.
no question mark. Many times things in relationship are stalked. I don't really know what that means, stalked, because of money. And I think this might sound silly. I don't know.
Well, the other thing is, like, it's not silly. Like, you can't judge it as being silly, or you can't dismiss your own awareness or dismiss your own desires or dismiss yourself. Like, anytime that you belittle yourself and say that you're silly, it means that you're making someone else superior to you and bigger than you, right? So
and even,
you know,
like, it could just be a limiting point of view, and that's not silly either. You have to be willing to look at it and say, is this actually creating what I truly desire? And if it's not, pock and pot it and change it.
yeah. And just get out. The first step is always getting out of judgment of yourself, judging yourself for having the point of view, judging yourself for having an issue, judging yourself for making an issue in a relationship, like comparing yourself to other couples who look like they don't have issues when they probably do, but they're just hiding it better. Like, getting out of judgment of yourself and just looking at it as it is for you, and what works.
That brings up another big takeaway from this entity class that I was in. I noticed that when I asked a question, I had this familiar sense of going into self-judgment while I was asking my question, so I wasn't really being all of me. And then I realized after I got off the call that wasn't actually me. It was an entity that I was so familiar with having that I didn't necessarily recognize that it wasn't me.
So that's a very good, who does this belong to,
right,
situation.
So, clearing that entity, and like all the times where you ask questions and then you make yourself wrong, what if that's not you making yourself wrong? What if it's an entity or demon or something keeping you from being all of you? So all that negative mental talk, just try clearing entities or clearing the demons and see if it changes. I know it did for me. And like at this point, I didn't think I had any of that stuff. So it's not about what you think you have, it's what's actually going on.
That was one of the, there have been a lot of really kind of mind-bending things that have shown up for me through Access over the years. But one of them was, like, a couple of years ago, Shannon talked about how she discovered that she had some Holocaust entities that were attached to her, and they were causing her to eat a lot. And I mean, you can find it on her blog, but I remember listening to this and thinking, you're Shannon. How the fuck is this not dealt with already? Like, what? You know, because you would think
Yeah.
after all this time and all the work that she's done and everything that she's been through, you would think that she, of all people, would be sort of cleansed of entity influence or presence or whatever. And that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They're
that's just
sneaky. They are sneaky, and like when it's something you've lived with your whole life and you thought it was you, like a lot of people think that they're happy and then they get their bars run, or then they have some other realization, aha moment, and they realize that happiness that they have defined as happiness is like way down here, and the spectrum of joy and possibilities like through the roof. It's through the universe. It's like there's no limit.
right.
So the willingness to go there, to be curious about, well, what else is possible, instead of, oh, I'm good, I'm happy, I don't have any entities.
Yeah.
This is just me defined like this, instead of like, wow, who am I? Who the fuck am I today? And what grand and glorious adventures will I have? And what if nothing that we've chosen so far is ever wrong, but like, what else can we choose?
Yeah. Yeah. I just like talking about that. Oh, are you still there?
Yes.
Sorry, I just pressed the wrong thing. Oops. Um, yeah, talking about that kind of for me reminds me of the places where I've already decided that a certain level of something is enough. Like, oh, that's happy enough, or that's enough money, or
Mm-hmm.
I have a. This is embarrassing. Um, my girlfriend a long time ago. We were talking on the phone. It was a long distance relationship, and we were fighting on the phone as we had done innumerable times before. And she just stopped and she was like, I can't do this. We fight too much. And in my genius moment, I said, oh, well, what's enough? Or like, what's an acceptable amount of fighting? Like, what a dumb shit. I was like looking at that now, I just blows my mind. But I was looking for like an acceptable level of like, oh, this is enough, or this is correct, or this is the right way to do it. Like once a week is okay, or once every 2 weeks is okay. And yeah, looking at that now, like,
Did your
man,
parents
what a
fight?
crazy. Sorry?
Did your parents fight?
Um, yes.
So
I mean,
fighting,
there was nothing ever physical.
fighting is a relationship then. Like,
Well, sure. And then you look at all the times when you hear people say, or I heard people say, like, if you're not having disagreements and arguments, then your relationship's not growing and your relationship's not, it's not a real relationship. Like if you're not having disagreements, it's sort of a lower level, or a less genuine relationship, right?
hot,
Because if you're,
hot.
yeah, yeah, but man, and so that's just an example for me of looking at the different definitions that I had bought and the different ways that I had defined what what a relationship was, and not just a relationship, but a good relationship. Like if you're not disagreeing about something even every once in a while, and I was looking for numbers like twice a month or something. Like, even just talking about
Well,
this,
hopefully you're having sex more than
I
you're
just got to
trying.
shake my head. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So, I guess that just came out of talking about the idea of having there be limits on something. Like, this is enough, or this is like,
Yeah.
what else is possible? What else is possible that always is pushing in terms of like happiness, or, we talked about money, or anything really.
Yeah.
Um,
And, what if it's not pushing? What if it's inviting and really being curious, like a child? Like, kids don't necessarily push to get more, they just don't have a lid on um, on their curiosity. They're like, ooh, like, what is there? How do we do this world? What are all the amazing things I can experience?
I was talking about pushing boundaries.
Oh, well,
That's okay. It was like, I also don't want to be wrong, so I have to defend myself.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, yeah. So what if we just melted boundaries and lids and limits and like just had space
yeah.
that you can choose more of or not? Then what would we choose? And that's the thing, that um, you get to a certain space and relaxation, which is all part of the stages of growth of, I guess, awareness and consciousness. And then it becomes your choice of what you'd like to create, instead of always being in reaction to things and feeling wrong about stuff. Like, you get rid of all of that, you move beyond that, you don't have that as your issue. There's no issues, there's no problems. Now, what would you like to choose? And I think a lot of people go blank. They're like,
Yeah, absolutely. Because for so long, you've defined your existence by your limitations and problems and issues. And
yeah,
if you suddenly don't have any of those, then you're lost, because you've never been offered the chance to choose your own direction and have it be a choice by you. As you said, you're just in reaction, and you're in reaction to everything, all the projections from other people, all the expectations from other people and yourself that you've bought. Like, you're just trying to operate within this tiny little like rat maze of walls, and suddenly there's just like this flat table of nothingness and no walls, and you can go any direction and choose anything, and you're just like, oh, what do I
what
do
am I
now?
supposed to do now? But there is no supposed to.
No, you're not
Oh,
supposed to.
so
Yeah.
it's actually quite confronting, because that's when you start to look at, okay, what is it that I really came here for? What is it that I'd like to see in the world that I can create? And it can be totally easy, which is not something that most of us have experienced in our lives. We're used to the fight, we're used to resistance, we're used to people telling us what we need to do rather
And when
than,
it's easy, you feel wrong, and you feel weird, and you feel people are going to judge you because they don't have it easy, and suddenly you do. And it's,
yeah.
yeah, it's so weird. But having that availability of choice of anything is, it is initially a little bit mind bending, because you've never had it, and you finally get to take a look at like, what do I want to create in the world? What would really be me, and what could be the contribution of my difference. Because even I've seen so many people, and I've been guilty of it myself, of looking around to see who can I imitate, or who should I follow, or like what's someone choosing that I could choose, because I don't know what I could choose, you know? Yeah.
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 So it's a really cool space to be in, and there was no answer to it. It's just, okay, so what would I like to create? And
Yeah.
go about your day and see what twinkles and sparkles start to come to you.
That was something that Dane talked about on one of the June BDSW calls, was about people, specifically people who would sort of look at him and try to imitate him, or trying to be like Dane Jr. He was like, I don't want anybody to be Dane Jr. I want you to be you. I'm looking for peers. I'm looking for playmates. I'm looking for people to create together with. And you can't do what I do, but I also can't do what you do.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're stepping into the beingness that you be, and it's not what I be.
And it's not what we think we be, or what we've tried to be, to mold ourselves to show up the way our parents wanted, or our partner wanted, or our peers
I was
wanted,
just
or our
gonna say,
teachers wanted, but it's like the actual you.
yeah, yeah,
And like, what if that can reveal itself more and more every day? It's like you don't have to have an answer to that either, but you'll know when you're being you, and when you um, get the inspiration to create something completely different.
yeah.
I know
If it's
Gary
not
asked that like years and years ago. He would ask that a lot. Like, what is it? What if you were to create something that's never existed on this planet before? And I used to think of it in terms of something, like a thing,
right, like
product.
a new invention.
Yeah, like, and I would go into this like what the fuck is he talking about? Like, what can I create that's never existed here before? And I'd try to think about it instead of just let the energy move through, and let the curiosity create whatever that is for me or for anybody else.
Yeah. I don't think I've heard that question in a really, really, really long time.
I know it
I
was.
mean, I've heard different iterations of kind of the same question, like, what would you like to create in the world, or something like that. But
Yeah.
ask that again. If you could,
What can you create that's never existed before here?
right.
Yeah. What else has he said?
Mosquito.
He also asked, like, what are you a source of?
Yeah.
What are you a source of?
That's also, you've heard the contribution call with the conversation between Dane and Shannon from Maestro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's
I was in
because
that.
it talks about being a source. Sorry?
I was in that class.
Yeah. And they talked about being a source. And if you're an infinite source, and you are an infinite source, you have to acknowledge that you are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you did acknowledge that you're an infinite source, how would that change the way that you be in the world? Um, yeah.
Yes.
Such a big,
And what abilities do we have that we're not using, that if we would choose it, would expand our possibilities.
You're loaded with good questions today. What's going on there?
I don't know. Maybe it's TTTE advanced. Well, I did clear some entities and demons that I never knew I had. So
Excellent.
how did it get better?
Nice. And is there a couple more days of this yet?
Yes, we're skipping a couple of days, and then there's 3 or 4 more days.
Right. So potentially next Monday you're going to be even more clear.
Potentially. Yeah, hopefully every day. Like, don't you?
I know.
The place where I'm looking at removing any limit of this is good enough or I have enough is with income streams, revenue streams. So many people, including myself, create just enough to do whatever you're doing. And I know for me, I choose a lot. And so I create more, but it's always to the level of what I'm choosing and not way more than what I'm choosing. I usually choose way more than, and then I have to catch up. So what would it take to outcreate the revenue streams to having way too much that I couldn't possibly spend it all on what I'm choosing?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question.
For me and everyone else. Yeah.
I think you have to go.
Oh, I do. I've got my expand exercise. So
Nice.
everybody join me over there in the other group.
Well, Ms. Julie, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was wonderful to see you again.
And you too.
This is just a really fun creation. I'm grateful.
It is. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun. So I'll see you again in a week. I mean, we message once in a while between then, but
you're super busy. I know. I have a little bit more space still.
I don't know if that's the case, but maybe I'm just pretending.
Well, if you have space, you could reach out.
Got it. All right. Well, have a good time, and I'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.